What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and this is part 2 of the F82 front end on the F32. Here we have my project still in pieces. Just to fill you in, I'm actually going to be running the F82 front end on my F32 just because I wanted to run the fenders that I have on the car now, which if you are interested in knowing more about, you can actually see on my part 1 video. So just to show you guys a quick glimpse, here they are, very aggressive. And obviously once everything is put together, it's going to look a lot better. I know some of you guys might be unsure about the little gills vents right here, but I like it. It's something different, and I think once it's all painted and put together, it'll all make sense. But so just to pick up on the previous video, I wasn't able to get everything mounted because the hood was actually overlapping the bumper because the bumper was being pushed too far in. So I went ahead and ordered this piece from BMW, which the mounting points are actually, I believe, a little bit further out. So I have the other one out there. Let me go ahead and grab it. All right, so here we have the factory one, the F30, F32. Well, this is F32, F33, F36. So here we have the one for the F80s and the F82, which is the same. Everything looks pretty much the same, except the dimensions from here to here are a little bit different. And also the mounting points for the bumper right here are a little bit further out. So that's the difference between these. I'm actually going to be switching them out. I got to put these back here so I can clip the bumper in here. But I went ahead and removed the little cover that this one had, my factory one, and put it on here. So in order to get to this, to get it removed, I actually didn't record it. I did all this off camera. But you're gonna have to remove your radiator brace, which sits right here. You're gonna remove all the bolts that are on top. Very simple install or removal process, very common sense. So remove everything, and the moment that you remove it, you're able to pull out the shroud out of it. I tried doing it without removing it, but there's just no way. You have to remove it. Also, I am gonna have to modify the M1 a little bit, not too much. So this one, if you see here, it's got a little cutout right here, and that's for it to slide into the V brace. This one doesn't have it. See here, that's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a slit right here, that way so I can push it inwards and it'll slide over the brace. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna go ahead and install this. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the process because, like I said, it's a very simple install or process. Just put the bolts back in. I think it was a T25 and a T30 that I used, and then cut the little slit on there to make it fit in there, and we should be able to put everything back together and hope that we're one step closer to getting the bumper fitted on correctly. I might have to do some adjustments with the headlights. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there in a little bit. I got the piece put back on. Obviously I don't have all the bolts yet, but I just wanted to make sure that everything fits. So everything lines up, so I just got to put the bolts back in on these two sides and right here in the middle. So I ended up purchasing these brackets here, the top mount brackets for the headlights. What these are doing is, these are actually a little bit longer. So by me loosening up the bolts that are underneath the headlight, holding it in place with that bracket, even though this bracket needs to be replaced, or probably if you want to do it right, you would want to replace this bracket too. But these brackets are actually about almost $200 a piece from, I think, ECS Tuning. And then if you go to BMW, they are like 203. I think ECS has them, or eBay had them for like 170, I want to say. But it's still a lot of money. I feel like it's money that you really don't need to spend unless you're like super picky. So in order to remove that piece or this bracket that's under here, the black one, you have to remove these two, and then there's another one on the other side, which is what makes it a pain, because you don't really have access to it. You would have to remove the I want to say the radiator just to get access to it. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the other people that did it, well, it's not a lot, but it's like 2 or 3 people that did it, I don't think they removed the brackets, just because, I mean, it's a lot of work. You can see the bracket down here, it's all one piece. Let me see here. I don't think you guys can see it, but yeah, there you go. So it's a weird way, it's a weird design to me. I mean, I think they could have done it better. I don't think they needed to make it all one piece. They could have just put the bracket down here and then put the bolts somewhere down here and then call it a day. But you know, sometimes what I've noticed is that when it comes to German cars, sometimes they over engineer these things. Like they think too much and make it more complicated. And anyways, here we are. Obviously this isn't a swap that you're supposed to be doing, but if you are interested in doing this, we'll put all the parts, all the part numbers at the final video, just so you have everything. If you get lucky, you will be able to find a bumper that has all the little trims and inserts that you're going to need, because those tend to get pricey. If you can find one, I highly recommend you find one with everything. I'm lucky enough that I'm able to work with certain people to get better pricing, but if you're paying straight retail and straight from BMW or from BMW, you're going to be spending a good amount of money. So that's where we're at. So I got this headlight to fit for the most part how I want. I just got to go back and obviously tighten it up. So I'm going to go and do it to this side, do the same thing that I did to that, remove this bracket over here, and we should be good. So hopefully this is the last thing that I need to do before I drop it off for paint. I just got to put the latches back on, which is not a problem, and I hope that everything lines up like it should, and that way so we can finally get this thing off to paint, because I miss driving this thing and I'm tired of seeing it in the garage. I'm tired of this mess. So do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, and I'll let you guys, I'll continue the video actually once I'm done with everything to show you guys how it looks. So at this point, I'm gonna be making the final adjustments. Here's one look at the car. By the time that you guys see this, the car should be on the ground with everything on it. Once I move the headlight to the spot that it needs to be, you can see here I'm holding it with some zip ties, just because I don't have the supports up here. So this is just a ghetto rig for the meantime. Once I get this this tab right here situated, then everything should be fine. I'm not gonna need these, but at least this kind of helps me guide how far to push it forward. And then same thing with that one. I was able to just kind of line it up for the meantime, and everything lines up really well. Everything seems to be going as it should at this point. I don't think I'm gonna have any major issues. Also, I ended up having to wait another week for these to come in. So it's just been a learning process for me, and hopefully these videos will help you if you want to do this, just to make your life a lot easier. Once I have the list of everything that's going to be needed, you guys can take it from there, and it'll all make sense as you go. But I'm going to go back to work, get these headlights situated. I got to make some final adjustments to the latches in the back, and we should be good. My goal is to drop it off to paint for this Monday, and that's probably when you guys are going to be seeing the video. So by the time you guys see this video, the car should be going into paint that same day or the day after. So just a quick little update. I ended up putting a spacer in between the actual headlight bracket and the headlight itself, because whenever I was trying to tighten up the new bolt, it wasn't really having it had like a gap, so I wasn't able to get it to tighten up correctly to prevent from the actual headlight to move. So I found these spacers that I had that they were actually for a TV. I knew I had to keep them for a reason. I always keep like little things like that because you never know. So that spacer allows me to create the support, the base for the bolt to hold in place. So I ended up adding a new nut in the back because the nut is actually a square nut, and for some reason that nut seemed like it had like too much gunk built up inside of it, and the bolt wasn't able to screw in correctly. So I just went ahead and put in a new nut. And also when it comes time for me to remove the headlights in the future, it's a lot easier than having to worry about the actual square nut. So this headlight is actually not moving at all, so I'm happy with the outcome. I'm going to be placing the spacer on the other headlight as well, and this is how the actual spacer looks like. Just a piece of plastic. You can use washers, but I ended up having to grind it down a little bit to fit the correct size. Yes, these shits are nasty. But anyways, my battery's about to die, so I'll try to pick up the camera in a little bit. Alright guys, so this is the video that you guys have been waiting for. As you can see, the car is finally somewhat put back together. It's missing the piece that goes here, all the little mesh pieces that go down there at the bumper, the kidney grills. Obviously there's no point of putting those on there because the bumper is going to get painted. So I'm just leaving those off for the time being. Also, this hood is going to have to get prepped. The car is going to be dropped off this coming weekend, which is going to be on Saturday, to the body shop, and then he's going to take care of everything. I'm actually going to have them help me figure out the mounting situation for these because they don't have the factory mounting points, and it was kind of hard. And I gotta say, I probably messed up the actual pieces here quite a bit, drilling multiple holes, because at first whenever I was lining up the bumper, I was having issues getting it to sit correctly, and I thought that I was gonna have to kind of like push it forward and force it in. I was trying to mount the bumper without putting the foam on there, so it was actually pushing it forward more, and then I was trying to turn it. I don't know, it's just it was a big mess because things weren't really fitting how they should. But that's kind of part of the reason why it took me so long, because I was trying to figure out how everything went. So over time I ended up, figuring things out. I realized that, which it's kind of obvious now that you think about it, if the hood is longer, that means that the headlights were supposed to be pushed out, forward. So once I ended up putting in the foam and everything and pushed the headlights outward, everything seemed to line up a lot better. So I'm definitely gonna have them fix this, and I think I'm gonna have them mold the pieces that are in here. I don't know if you guys can see, but so the pieces that go on the fender, I'm gonna see if there's a way that they can mold these onto that those fenders over there, so that way I can screw in the factory bolts to hold it in place. Yeah, the bumper is pretty much secure, and aside from the side pieces and then the fender liners that kind of keep it in place, obviously right now it's moving a little bit. I got to figure out the under trays as well, which I do have, that they're from an M car, but there's a situation where I have to figure out later on how to get it to hold from underneath. But aside from that, obviously it's just the bodywork, prepping the fenders, getting it painted. It does have like a little gap here, but I mean, I might have to use some double-sided tape just to get it to hold down here flat. Who knows, we'll figure that out later. It's really not that bad. I've seen some other fenders that another company makes that are very similar to these, and the gap up here is way worse than this one, so I'm not complaining on this one. Maybe they can shave it down a little bit so I don't have to use double-sided tape, but I'll kind of get a second opinion from the body shop. The lines are, like I mentioned before, it's a little bit bigger than before, but it still doesn't look bad. I mean, there's just no way that I could push it anymore. I mean, once everything gets secured, it's gonna close it up a little bit, but if I go any closer, this part hits and then the door hits, so this is kind of where it has to stay. So the question that I've been getting quite often is, what exactly do you need to get this bumper mounted? I spent some time with the hood and try to figure out the fitment on the fenders, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So we got the line here pretty much even. This needs to be pushed in a little bit. Then we got the line here on the fender. Focus, there we go. And then the line over here, it's about the same as well. The only thing that I've noticed is I had the same issue with my F80 hood, and this tends to be slightly lifted. So I'm gonna see if the body shop can figure anything out to maybe make it sit a little bit more flush. I wasn't able to figure it out with my other car, but once it gets painted, it's really not that bad. Well guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the outcome so far. I know it's taking me a little bit longer than anybody expected. It's one of those things where I just kind of been learning as I go, trying to figure out what parts I need. I didn't want to buy parts that I wasn't going to use, because then I might not be able to return them depending where I buy them from. So I just kind of took my time, went with the project, and try to figure out as much as I could by myself. Try to ask somebody, and they didn't really give me any response exactly, like, because they took it to the body shop, and I tried to reach out to 2 other people and they didn't answer. So I was left doing it by myself, trying to figure things out. When I make the last final video after I get the car back from the shop on this front end, there's going to be a part 3 where I show you guys everything, how everything looks after it's painted, and exactly everything that you need, while I include the part numbers on the description list as well. So that will be on part 3. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.